Hi, it's Jan from YouMakeItSimple.com. We're going into the garden today. I thought I'd take you for a little stroll in the garden and show you 3 of my most favorite things to grow, and I think you'll love them too. So let's go for a stroll. So here are my lavender plants. As you can see, they're starting to get a little woody, and I haven't been out and deadheaded the dead wood in the plants yet. So I'm going to replace one of them. They're probably about 10 years old, and so it's probably time to replace them. I'm just going to replace one because I do still want some mature lavender buds for some of the projects that I'm going to be doing here in a couple weeks. So I'm going to plant this new one. I'll take out this probably corner plant here, but I'm going to show you real quick how to deadhead this plant and take out the old growth. So just take your clippers and go down and just simply cut off those old wooded branches. And sometimes these branches can get really big and thick, and it's about time to get a new plant. Lavender does not, it's really difficult, challenging to grow by seed, so it's just easier to go buy a healthy plant. This was only $8. I think I got it on clearance for $7. So, or you can make cuttings, and so you can just take off a branch, soak it in water, root it, or put it in rooting chemicals and start a plant that way. They are hard to grow from seed. And one of my favorite things about working in the garden and with lavender is the yummy smell. It smells so good, and that alone is worth your time in the garden. So I've decided, after all, not to take out this other lavender plant quite yet, because it does have a lot of nice blossoms on it, and I just can't dig it up right now. So I'm going to plant my new one just right here, and then in the fall I will take that one out and put this one over here. So when you're planting your lavender, you want to make sure you're planting it in well-drained soil, someplace where it gets lots of sun, and it just takes moderate watering. So I'm just going to plant this lavender right here by my sage. Probably not the best place. It doesn't have quite enough room, but it'll be good until the fall comes. Stay tuned for some really fun lavender projects that I've got coming up here in a couple weeks. These are just getting close to being ready. Make sure you're using good soil, and I'm digging a hole about the depth of the pot, but wider. So I'm going to open that up and put my plant in so it's the same height as the dirt around it, and then I'll fill it in. I wish you could smell it. There's nothing better. Just pack it down tight. Pack the dirt tight, and I'll give it a watering, and can't wait to see how she does. So the next plant that I'm going to repot or replant in my garden is thyme. Thyme is an herb and something that we could all use a little bit more of, or manage better, right? Thyme is one of my favorite herbs, and I have a thyme plant, but it's getting really old and woody, so I am going to dig it up and replace it with a couple of these that I have bought. This is just a German thyme. There's lots of different kinds of thyme. I even have a lemon thyme that smells wonderful. Thyme is a plant that I think everyone needs to have in their garden, not only to cook with, to use for cooking, to spice your food with, but I also use it as an herbal remedy. It's a plant that winters over, and I can come out in the middle of winter under a foot of snow and dig it up. It's still green, and cut off a handful for a thyme bath, which is really good for coughs and respiratory illnesses. So a plant that I think is good to have, easy to grow. It's very forgiving, so it's going back in my garden. So as you can see, this is getting really woody. There's a lot of dead branches. The branches are thick and it'll be fine. It's just that it takes up a lot of space. There are only a few little sprigs here that I could use still, but I'm going to dig it up. And once again, even just touching the plant smells wonderful. So I'm gonna dig this up, I'm gonna put two new little guys here, and then we'll be good to go. So thyme is a plant that I could cut this off and use them as cuttings to grow new plant. You can also, if this was just getting too big and I wanted to separate it and transplant some to another area, you can just take your shovel and just cut it. Like I say, this is really an old plant. You can just cut down there through that root, because it will spread, it spreads, but you could cut that out and take this chunk and put it somewhere else. And sometimes it's easier to get that out and then get a tool and cut that down, that root ball, in half and transplant that. And I may take this and do some cuttings just for some friends or to plant somewhere else. I'm gonna work that soil around it since it's been stagnant for a while. And you could even put some new compost in there, but we've just recently done that. What I like about these pots is you don't have to take it out. You can just plant this whole thing and this will disintegrate. Biodegradable, keep it, won't disturb the roots. Pat down the soil. You're good to go. So the garden is just taking off. This is probably one of my most favorite times of the year. The herbs are just about ready. They're just so vibrant and pretty, and loving being in the garden right now. So there's our friend Benny. So this is yarrow, a yellow variety, which I love and use medicinally as well. It's another one of my favorite herbs to have in the garden. We have winter savory right here. I just wish I could let you smell everything. And the chives are at their peak right now. We'll cut those down and then we'll let them grow up again and to use in the kitchen. We have the Santolina over there, another great smelling plant. This is my St. John's wort. I just wish you could smell those. Smell all these plants. Rubbing the leaves together. Yummy stuff. And I have our favorite comfrey over there doing its thing. Another we'll talk about another time, but another must in a garden. And there's another thing of comfrey going, and we have our raspberry plants going. Let's go up into the front of the yard and show you my other favorite that I'm going to talk about today, and that is rosemary. So we're out in the front yard now, and I just wanted to point out one of my favorite accessories, garden accessories, and it's not my shovel or my pruning shears, it's my utility apron. I have several. This one's seen better days, but I just wanted to point out how handy this is. I keep my gloves in here, my phone, so I can listen to things while I'm gardening. Oh, whatever, tissue, my clippers. I have a fabric clip just for when I'm sewing. This is a multitask, very half apron, throw it on. I like wearing this all the time. So I have several, and I'm going to be showing you how to make these fun aprons here in just a bit. Back to the garden. So this is my rosemary patch, and I so wish that you could smell this stuff. It is the best. One of my favorite herbs. So it's pretty easy to grow, but if you live in a climate where you get snow and you have hard winters, they say that it'll winter over, but I have never had luck growing it any place than this southern exposure protected area in my home. It always dies, it always freezes. So when I have it in my backyard or other places in the garden, it doesn't winter over, it freezes. So I always bring a rosemary plant in for the winter, just so, because I love the smell, I love having it in the home, but it doesn't like being there very long. As soon as it's spring, it usually wants to come outside. So if you're planting, if you do live in a cold climate, find a place. This is just on the south side of my home. It's kind of secluded and protected in a corner here, but it thrives here. It loves it. So I have about maybe 4 plants here, and as you can see, this, I haven't been out yet to deadhead and get rid of. You'll have a few branches that won't make it, that will die, and so just cut those off. This adds such a unique, yummy flavor to meats, to potatoes, and I have the links on there to make these things. But they're also good for crafts and just to hang a few sprigs in your house. Just rubbing my hands through it smells so good. It's a mix between like eucalyptus and pine and I don't know, something else, but it just has such a refreshing aroma. And it has a beautiful leaf and a beautiful stem, beautiful color that can be added to different flower arrangements and of course in your cooking. Very easy to grow. Like I say, just be careful if you live in a colder climate, make sure you're protecting it. And likes full sun, easy to grow, perennial that'll come back every year, and something that's a must in your garden. There's another patch of yarrow that will have a beautiful yellow, bright yellow flower. There's a variety of white and pink, and like I say, it's cute in the garden. You can also dry it and use it medicinally. So there you have it, a little tour of my garden in the spring, and hopefully you'll get some plants. Now's the time. Nurseries are maybe even having them on clearance. Go get you some lavender, some thyme, and some rosemary, and get them planted. You've got things to do with them. We'll see you in the next class. Make sure you're subscribing to the channel for upcoming tutorials and classes.